You're standing in the supermarket aisle. Your kid is pointing to that muesli bar with the bright, colourful box, the one that has natural stamped on the front, but basically is a chocolate bar in disguise. You're tired, you're so busy, and you've bought it like 50 times before. But something shifted. You've started wondering what all that stuff is actually doing to your child's energy, their mood, their focus at school. And you want to make a change, but you just don't know where to start. I've been there, and so many other mums have too. In this video, I'm going to show you that eating cleaner as a family doesn't require a nutrition degree, a massive budget, or hours upon hours in the kitchen. It just takes a few smart swaps, and I'm going to walk you through what those are. First, let's clear something up. Clean eating can sound a bit intimidating, like it belongs to those people who wake up at 5 a.m. every morning, do yoga and only shop at farmers markets. Clean eating, at its simplest, just means choosing foods that are close to their natural state or as whole food as possible, and reducing the ones that have been heavily processed, loaded with sugar, artificial colours, additives, and preservatives. It doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean never having a treat or a biscuit again. It means shifting the balance so that the majority of what your kids eat is real, nourishing food. Think of it more like a dial, not a switch. You're not going to go from zero to perfect overnight. You're turning the dial. A little more whole foods here, a little less processed foods there. If you try to overhaul everything overnight, it usually backfires. A few consistent swaps will go much further. Why does clean eating matter for kids specifically? Well, because children's bodies and brains are developing at such a rapid rate, and the fuel that they get from the food that they eat is going to affect their energy, their sleep, their behavior, and their ability to concentrate. Nutrition in childhood also sets patterns that follow them into adulthood. It's not about making food stressful or making kids feel like they're missing out. It's about quietly and gradually making the everyday stuff better. And I promise most kids won't even notice half of these swaps. Okay, let's get practical. Here are the 5 swaps that I recommend every family start with because they have the biggest impact and they're the easiest to actually stick to. Most breakfast cereals are among the highest sugar foods in the supermarket, including the ones that are marketed as healthy. They also contain a bunch of artificial synthetic ingredients. So let's swap to buying plain organic rolled oats. They're probably even cheaper than those packet cereals. You can uh, make easy overnight oats the night before with milk, fruit, nuts, a bit of honey, and it is the best time saver for a busy morning. Swap bagels and white bread for a wholemeal sourdough instead, and toppings like jam and chocolate spread, let's swap them out for peanut butter, avocado, cheese, or scrambled eggs. Let's swap out those flavoured yogurts for plain yogurt with some toppings. Flavoured yogurts can be absolutely loaded with sugar. So let's use plain Greek yogurt or natural yogurt. You can add in your own fruit, some pureed fruit, a little drizzle of honey, and maybe some granola or nuts on top for crunch and extra protein. These breakfast swaps will provide steady energy for your family all day rather than a sugar spike that comes crashing down about an hour later. This one swap is underestimated by many parents. Juice, even the 100% natural ones, they contain a lot of sugar and are stripped of any fiber. Flavored milks are often closer to a dessert than a drink. Making water the main or the default drink at home is one of the most impactful things you can do. To make it a bit more appealing to your kids, if they're not a big fan of just a plain glass of water, try slicing up some fruit and popping it in. Or my kids love to throw in some frozen berries to make the water a different, like pinky purpley colour. Rice crackers, muesli bars, the flavoured yogurt pouches. These snacks are often positioned as healthy but are packed with added sugar and very minimal nutrition. You can replace these with snacks like slices of apple with peanut butter, cheese, and plain crackers. My kids love those organic rice cakes, and they like to put their own toppings on, like avocado and tomato, or peanut butter and honey. Let's make fruit and veggies easily accessible for snacking. Kids tend to eat what's easy and right in front of them. What made a big difference at my house was keeping washed fruit visible on the counter. I'll have a ready to go container of cut up veggie sticks that they can grab to crunch on or dip into avocado or hummus. If your kid is just hooked on those flavored yogurts, you can make your own. So get a big tub of natural or Greek yogurt. Puree up some berries or some other cooked fruit, mix that through with a drizzle of honey for some added sweetness. I can guarantee you they will be so happy with this, and it really does taste better than the artificially flavoured stuff. You can try making your own healthy cookies, muesli bars, or a quick and easy trail mix. The goal is snacks that contain protein and fibre. This will actually fill your kids up and stop them from reaching for another snack, 20 minutes later. This one is almost an invisible swap for kids, especially if you just make that transition gradually. Whole grains contain far more fibre, which keeps you fuller for longer, and it supports gut health. Let's just make sure we check the label. It should say whole grain or wholemeal. There are some really great pasta substitutions in the supermarket these days. My kids actually happily eat the pulse pasta, which is made from beans and legumes. So you can try mixing your standard white spaghetti. Let's start out doing half and half. So mix in that wholemeal variety gradually. With the pulse pasta, you can get them in penne shapes or spirals. So again, let's start out with half half, then eventually make the transition to fully whole grain or pulse. And with breads, if you get a really nice wholemeal sourdough, I bet your kid won't even complain about ditching the old white stuff. The texture and the flavour is just far superior. Tomato sauce, barbecue sauce, sweet chili, mayonnaises, and salad dressings. These are often packed with sugar, sodium, preservatives, and emulsifiers. A quick homemade tomato sauce should only take you about 10 minutes and tastes way better. For dressings, a bit of olive oil, lemon juice, salt, and a dash of maple syrup is all you really need. And mayonnaise, I tend to make my own. There's a super quick and easy version using the hand mixer. So it's just an egg, same quantity of oil, a splash of vinegar and salt, and you whiz that up. It's not as thick and luscious as the store-bought stuff with all the emulsifiers, but it tastes just as good. I know what some of you are thinking. My child will never eat that. And look, I hear you. Kids can be incredibly resistant to food changes, especially when they've grown up eating a certain way. Here's what actually works. First, we're not going to make a big deal about it. We're not going to announce, we're eating healthy now and everything changes. We're just going to quietly make some small swaps. Kids notice far less than we think when we don't draw attention to it. Second, let's get the kids involved. Those that help choose the recipes, go grocery shopping, and help prepare the food are dramatically more likely to want to eat it. Even a 2-year-old can wash some strawberries or mix together some oats and milk. Give them a role in the meal prep, and they're much more likely to eat what they helped prepare, even veggies. The third thing is don't eliminate, substitute. If you've got a child that loves pasta, you're just going to swap it to a better variety. If they love sauce with their dinner, keep the sauce, just make your own. We're not taking things away, we're just giving them a nutritional upgrade. And finally, be patient. The research around picky eating is that they need to be exposed to something like a new food up to 15 times before accepting it. One rejection doesn't mean never again. So keep offering, keep eating it yourself, and don't put too much pressure on them. Now, we don't need to become experts in food science, but knowing a few things about how to read a food label will really change the way that you shop. We're going to look at the ingredients list first, not the nutritional panel. Ingredients are listed by weight, so whatever comes first makes up the majority of the product. If it's sugar, glucose, or a variation of it in the first 3 ingredients, it's not an everyday food, and I would put it back on the shelf. Watch out for those ingredients that you can't pronounce. This means they're probably made in a lab. Flavor enhancers like MSG, emulsifiers, thickeners, and preservatives like sodium benzoate and nitrates. Flag how many ingredients there are. A packet of plain oats has 1 ingredient, oats. A healthy kids muesli bar can have up to 25 ingredients. A clear signal that that food is heavily processed with a bunch of unnecessary ingredients. Keep an eye out for sugar aliases. Food manufacturers are very sneaky and like to use different names for sugar. Glucose syrup, dextrose, fructose, maltose, um, fruit extracts or fruit concentrate that are all essentially sugar. And the more of these you see, the more added sugar that product contains. And finally, don't be swayed by the front of pack claims. Things like no added sugar, natural, or whole foods. These terms are largely unregulated and often misleading. So check the ingredients list for the full story. If you want a simple structure to get started with clean eating, here's what I would recommend for week 1. Just pick 2 of the swaps that I've talked about. Not 5, not all of them, just 2. And make those 2 changes consistently for a week. And only add more swaps once you're comfortable with these. My recommendation would be to start with breakfast and drinks. Change what your kids eat first thing in the morning and make water the default drink at home. These 2 swaps alone will reduce added sugar intake significantly, and you'll likely notice a difference in your child's energy and mood within a few days. In week 2, tackle the snacks. In week 3, let's look at what they're eating for lunch. Take it slowly. Sustainable change beats a dramatic, huge overhaul that will probably collapse a week later. The most important thing that I want you to take away from this video is you don't have to do this in a perfect way. Progress beats perfection every time. Every single little swap you make, even just one, is a step in the right direction for your family's health. If this was helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. It will help more parents find this kind of content. And drop a comment below. What's the one swap that you're going to try today? I've linked a free printable swap guide in the description below. It's a one-page cheat sheet of all the swaps that we covered today. So you can pop it up on your fridge for easy reference. And if you've liked this video, don't forget to check out my other ones. I've got plenty of tips to help families eat well and feel good. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.